I'm here at Ukraine's National History Museum in Kiev. I'm about to speak to a member of a group which has plans to build another museum that the cultural minister has called the Museum of Totalitarianism. I'm about to find out how Soviet era is depicted in this museum and why the government plans to build another one. The staff at the National Museum of the History of Ukraine showed me some of the most typical Soviet-era relics, which it is considering donating to the new museum, which is to be called the Museum of Totalitarianism.
These flags are from the Soviet era. We have a large collection here at our museum. They were given out in the 60s, 70s and 80s as awards to brigades of workers in various factories for doing a good job. Also, they were given as trophies in various socialist competitions. This was very widespread during that time.
These flags are made out of silk, and the letters on them were done with golden paint. It's quite fascinating to see how these awards given out to regular factory workers were made out of materials which are quite lavish. The museum also has a vast collection of medals which were given out following World War II. There are just some of the many artifacts which museum curators believe are crucial to a thorough and accurate documenting of the lives of Soviet citizens.
We've been making our Soviet-era collection for many years. We need to have these collections. We have an exposition dedicated to the Soviet era. We have to show that life and events that were unfolding during that time, it wasn't just a totalitarian regime. There were people who worked and fought, and we have to tell about their life.
So the museum's curator has taken us to the storage unit. This is where the museum keeps the Soviet China. Most of the artifacts have either the Soviet symbols on them or a portrait of Lenin. Others are more intricate figurines, such as this one.
These China sets were custom-made. Artists decorated them. The specific attributes of the Soviet era can be seen here. Gold paint was used to decorate the ham and sickle symbols on them.
One of the museum's researchers talked about the importance of preserving Ukraine's Soviet-era history in order for the next generation to learn from the country's past.
We have more than 800 items, I think, and it's an important part of our history. Even if somebody don't like it, we can't just cut away our history and forget it. Actually, for modern Ukraine, it's a huge experience, yes? And we have to know our history, and maybe it will help us in future.
Others see these items as expressions of power, power which came from the Kremlin and which kept Ukraine firmly within Russia's grasp.
They were needed because they were one of the many tools of propaganda being used by the government.
After my grand tour, I finally talked to the museum's director, who told me why the Ukrainian government has now decided to build another institution dedicated to totalitarianism.
This is needed more for the older generation, so they can analyze and draw conclusions. This will help them transition into modern Ukraine. This is also important for the younger generation, because any person which is able to analyze and think will be able to understand that any concentration of power can lead to something similar and delete 100 years or more of a country's history.
The museum's collection of Soviet artifacts was certainly impressive and undoubtedly large enough to support another museum. But with Ukraine currently fighting an armed insurgency backed by Russia and its eastern regions, critics say the project to build a museum of totalitarianism is itself just another propaganda stunt and has little to do with coming to terms with history. Nonetheless, Ukraine seems now to be firmly on a European path, and so in the spirit of looking to the future, the new museum is sure to enjoy popular support. For Ukraine Today, this is Tamara Rosevan in Kiev.